And we're live on Fun Frolicking Friday.
Hello, world. Welcome to Fun Frolicking Friday. I am Candace. That was Careza. And today we have a fabulous guest, Hollis Taylor. We're going to be dopping. We're going to be dropping into a variety of topics, all kind of leading around Hollis's life and this amazing book that they wrote. And I feel like so many of us can relate to, as well as especially those who are just really don't feel they identify entirely with their gender, or they feel gender variant, or there's some confusion there. I think there is some amazing information here for you to feel a little bit more defined about your journey. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, I don't have much else to say. So stay tuned for the entire show, because also at halftime, we'll be dropping into some tarot and astrology provided by Hollis. And I know they probably have some cool events coming up they'll tell us about. I know me and Careza have some things going on we're going to tell you about. So stay tuned. So Careza, what brings you here? Say hi.
Hi, everyone. It's me, Careza. I'm the creator of the Intimate Playground. I help singles and couples expand through play and orgasmic living. It's just a delight to be here and to learn more about the Divine Androgyny with Hollis. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to having a beautiful talk and learning more. And so here, let's introduce Hollis Taylor.
Hi there, everyone. I'm Hollis. I am Hollis Taylor, and I'm the author of the book Divine Androgyny. It's a sacred path for gender variant people. I'm also a show host for Rainbow Soul, where we talk about a variety of spiritual topics, not mainstream religion, more outside of that realm. And it's all from a queer perspective. So, I'm essentially I identify as non-binary, and I actually feel like I'm a little bit of both, and that my experience of being born with a more masculine soul and a more masculine mind in a female body is actually on purpose, by design of the universe, and that I'm here for a reason. And that all gender variant people, all non-binary people, all you drag queens, cross-dressers, non-binary people, transgender people, queers, everybody that identifies that way or questions their gender, that is actually a calling to your higher self. That is actually why you are here. That is your purpose in the world, to live fully your authentic self so that you can help humans unwind out of the binary, which hurts us all. So that's who I am. That's why I'm here. And that's the kind of education I offer.
I love that. There's no way I could have said that so beautifully. I'm just like, we'll let Hollis do that. So yes. So please do tune in with us. If things come up for you, you have questions, comments, we will be watching and this will be interactive. If you have someone that you know this could benefit, or people on your page, please do share this out. Let them know. Yeah. So I have had the wonderful experience of getting to know Hollis virtually, really, over the last year-ish or something. And I personally have had my own challenges within societal gender structures, and identifications and boxes, and what I'm supposed to be, what I'm not supposed to be. And I've held space for lovers and many clients who have felt very challenged by these boxes, or these roles or labels that were assigned to them that nobody asked them about. And many other, as we said, there's like a spectrum, and like there's many variations. And if you're watching, please do, if you identify, we'd love to hear and where you are and how you relate to this. And initially, the word androgyny or androgyne for me, I fell in love with just because it meant balance. It just seemed natural. It seemed normal. I didn't like rules. I don't like rules and roles. I just don't like them, and I haven't had the opportunity to listen to your book, and I heard you're working on your Audible, which I'm really excited about that. And the idea of it being a sacred path, as well as like when I heard you say that, I just like heard so much passion and purpose. Like we all need to feel like who we are on this planet, independent of what we're doing. It's great to do these things, but who we are is on purpose. So what we do is going to change all the time. So the essence of our being is on purpose. And I feel like this, no matter where someone identifies, really helps us get rid of those rules and boxes and feel more in purpose, however we choose to relate to gender or boxes and labels.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, what I want to say to the boxes thing, Candace, is that that's exactly what I'm saying when I say, well, the binary is not good for anybody. So even if you're an ally or you're a person that's like, well, I'm okay with non-binary people. I mean, I'm not non-binary, or you think you want to be an ally, but you're not sure how to be. Well, let me help you with a few things first. First of all, the binary hurts everybody. It insists that women should be in the kitchen taking care of children, and are over emotional, and some other things and sex objects, and some other norms that have been put on people that are born with a vagina. Okay. And that box is unfortunate and hard to fulfill for 99.9% of us. Most of us are like, what? I don't know about that part. And then men, people with a penis, we insist that they don't have feelings, that they are supposed to be tough providers, and they have incredible pressure. And you know what I say to men a lot is I say, hey man, put the backpack down. Just put it down, because you're carrying a backpack I didn't ask you to carry. And gender variant people are here for a reason. There's a reason we're seeing an increase in our population all over the world. It's not just happening in America. Look around. It's happening everywhere. And some people are like, why is this happening? Why is this trend here? It's not a trend. It's actually a spiritual movement. It is part of the human evolution. Humans are meant to evolve out of what separates us. What's the number one thing that separates humans? Gender. Yeah. Gender. What genitalia you have in between your legs separates us when we go to the bathroom, when we buy our clothes, when we eat our food, when we live in our life, in our homes and families. What genitalia is between your legs, they will try to use that to separate us. And it's completely unnecessary and frankly harmful to all of us. It is one of the main reasons for rape. It is one of the main problems in our culture that creates this separation. And so when you see a non-binary person, when you see a transgender person in front of you, when a drag queen presents to you the ridiculousness of femininity, know that they are actually healers. They are healing humanity's separation of gender. Intersex people have been here through all of it, and they right now are invisible. Intersex people are people that are born with both penis and vagina, or they could be, it comes through in a lot of different ways. But they're born with genitalia that's hard to identify as one of the binary pieces. And unfortunately, they have become completely invisible. We've erased them. As a culture, they don't exist. When they do actually exist. So spirit from the other side, the universe, whatever you regard as the divine or sacred, has been trying to speak to us from the beginning and say, don't separate yourselves because of what genitalia you were born with. That's nothing more than just happens to be there. No different than your eye color. It's no different. It's not, we don't separate each other because you have blue eyes and I have green eyes. Don't separate each other because you have a penis or a vagina. And that's what non-binary people are here to do. That's what transgender people are here to do. We're here to shake up the system. And in the time of Aquarius, because that's what's happening right now, in case you didn't notice, Saturn is in Aquarius right now. So if you look at your natal chart and you find out that Saturn is in Aquarius, you if you're a millennial, you are in what we call your Saturn returns. Saturn is about the foundation and how things run. And Saturn is moving through a sign that is very rebellious and also promotes change. And also kind of insists that everything be humanitarian, fair for everyone. So does Libra, but Aquarius is also strong in that way. Like sometimes Aquarius can kind of be like, no, I mean be fair. That's Aquarius, okay? And that's okay, because we need that sometimes. And so that's what's happening right now. That's what we're witnessing in the world. That's why you're seeing what you see. That's why gender variant people are coming forth. And when you see those people in your life, please, please love them just the way they are, to the best of your ability. I think that's the number one role of an ally, is to listen, love, and give them the pronouns they need. It is not a preference. It is not a request. It is a need. Not all gender variant people can say, this is my pronoun need. Some of them will say, I need you to try to use this pronoun with me, usually very awkwardly and uncomfortable. And when that happens, I want you as an ally to step forth and say, wow, I hear that you need a different pronoun than what I assumed, and I'm sorry for assuming that. And let me change my language. Tell me what pronoun you need. And use that language, need, because they need to hear you say that it's a need. Because non-binary people are sort of disempowered in a way. Why? Because we don't exist in the world. Look around. There are male bathrooms and female bathrooms. There are male clothes and female clothes. There are, it's everywhere. The binary world is heavy to hold on your shoulders. As a non-binary person or a transgender person, it feels like a backpack that you carry around all the time. And everything you do, you're like, oh man, that's weird. I'm out of the social realms again. And so I'm sure most of us can identify with not fitting in the box. imagine having that in everything you do. And sometimes some people that are gender variant look at their genitalia and are sort of dysphoric by it. They're disoriented. They're kind of, it's almost like we're having a past life regression or maybe a future life regression. I'm not sure. But I will say that a lot of us have this dysphoric thing where we look at our bodies or touch our bodies and what we expect to be there is not there, or something else is there. So we either have a vagina and we expect it to have a penis, or the other way around. Or for me, I expect both to be there, but they're not. There's just a vagina there. And so that feels shameful. So if you hear someone talking about gender dysphoria, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about that feeling of when they look at their body, it's actually different than what they expect. And some people treat it with a sex change, with drugs and surgery. And that's a perfectly valid choice if that's what suits people. I don't choose to do that. And at no time is any gender variant person forced to take those hormones or to have surgeries in order to be transgender. That is not a prerequisite. And if a person says, I'm a man, yet they're wearing a dress, you don't assume that, oh, they must be feminine, they must be a woman. You can't make that assumption. You have to be curious instead and unwrap your own gender norms that you're putting on people. Because some people are what we call gender fluid, which means from minute to minute, they could change their gender identity from day to day. Some people wake up and they feel masculine, and so they dress masculine and present that way. Some people feel masculine when they woke up, but by lunchtime they feel feminine, or vice versa. And that's okay. Those people are necessary because they help us realize what boxes we're putting in. Why do we say that wearing a dress is a woman thing? Why are only women allowed to wear a dress?
I think people are scared. Like, if you take gender away, if you take the boxes away, they don't know who they are. Like, they don't know that there's another aspect of themselves as well. Like, as a woman, if you define as a woman, like, doesn't mean that you're not masculine or that you can't put on masculine clothes or go out and play with the boys or go out and play rough and tough. Like, it does, or not play with dolls. Like, that's just part of being human and rising above and being part of, like, the aspects of who we are. So I think, like, this box thing is more about being feared, like, that what is going to happen if there's no more, like, female and male, and what if we added, trans and other non-binary aspects? Like, it's going to ruin everything that we've had for centuries, to a place like an unknown. Like, people are always scared of what they don't know. So
for sure, people are afraid of change. People are afraid of people resist change. And for sure, it creates some discomfort for a lot of people around gender, especially. And I say, wouldn't it be great if we were all just human beings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're all human. And can it just be a human experience? And if I choose to play with dirt and trucks and cars and wear a dress while I'm doing it, why does it have to mean something? Can't that just mean that I'm doing what I want?
Yeah.
And so I kind of talk about that in the book, that roles that are put on us actually take us from our authentic self.
Yeah.
So you can't ever really be who you want to be because you're filling a role. A mother fills a role. A mother's supposed to make dinner. A mother's supposed to nurture her children, hopefully. A mother is supposed to, help them get dressed and do all these things. Well, what if a mother decides, I want to show you how to chop wood?
Yeah.
Does that make her less of a mother? No. And what if a father decides he wants to help his daughter put on makeup? And that's what I'm talking about. Those lines that we draw keep us from being who we are. Even as children, we are taught this at such a young age. It's so ingrained that it hurts us. Because by the time we're an adult, we don't even realize what has been programmed into our brains. That you have a penis, so you can't wear makeup, sweetie. How many times does that happen? And now every feminist out there that's listening, now listen up. Here's the part that is evidence that women are seen as lesser than. If a person with a penis is born and they, let's say in adulthood, they start to wear a dress and they dress feminine and they start to present in a feminine way, they are reduced to lesser than, to a weak form. But if a person that is born with a vagina begins to dress more masculine and present in that way, they are seen as faking or trying to be something they're not, right? And that right there proves that we see feminine expressing traits as weakness. I don't know. I think it's pretty brave to wear a dress in today's world. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You wear a skirt or a dress, if you don't get heckled walking down the street, somebody's probably looking at you, thinking inappropriate thoughts.
It's vulnerable.
Yeah.
It is very vulnerable. That's right.
And don't wear underwear if you really want to stretch the vulnerability.
The wind to dry you out a little bit, but
Yeah.
Yeah. I was reminded, a moment ago of like a long time ago. I used to be in AA, very normal. And I'm in New Hampshire. It's a very plaid, old school. And I was at a Halloween event, and so there was a couple boys, the little boys that dressed up as women. That's what they wanted to do. And there ended up being some pictures, and all of a sudden, like a few years later, I get a message that the mom or the son, they were like freaking out about these pictures being online, and it didn't make sense to me. Like there was just, the whole hiding and protecting or shaming, because there's, especially, you said when we're young, yeah. I remember wanting to play, like I loved worms. I loved worms. I love dirt and worms. Yeah,
Yep.
they're so fun. Yeah, like Barbies too. And I like dressing up, but I liked doing different things. And same with like our orientation, what we're attracted to, like what a lot of people creating labels or identifications around that and what that means about you as a person. Like we are creating stories about who people are as people based on what they like sexually or how they feel sexually or how they identify to their body or their physicality. It's really, I was going to say ignorant. And one of the things that I like about being blind is that because I can't see anymore and I'm super sex positive and sensitive. So I just I don't assume shit anymore. I don't. But also, I've definitely noticed, I think I shared this with you, like in general, it creates a level of comfortability for those that are scared of what I think about what they like a man in a dress. They feel more comfortable because I can't entirely see them or what I think of them in general. But yeah, I just see I don't see this, you know? So yeah, and I really enjoy like living on that level and not being attached to those boxes and those roles and
Well, we have a story from Kelly. Kelly wrote something in. She said in 1968, I had a friend and she showed me she wore boys' underwear. I said, okay, and she was 8 at the time, and she said she loved wearing them.
Yeah, and that happens a lot, actually. That happens a lot. Because those are intimate pieces that we can wear and we can easily cover them up. And I think what you're saying, Candace, about being blind, my experience was that as a child, my father couldn't see. My dad had exactly the same disease that you have. And and I actually appreciated that the most out of him, that he didn't see what other people seen. And that felt like magic to me to be at his side. I always just was like, oh no, he doesn't judge you on how you look. He judges you on the character that you are and the character that you present and how you present yourself, not how you look or how you appear to him, because he can't see you. So the only thing he can assume is how you treat him. So in my opinion, I thought that was like a magic gift. And I think a lot of people could learn more by becoming friends with people that are blind and people that are deaf. They have a different message, and people that live in wheelchairs have even different messages. And I myself have worked with, because my father was blind, of course, but I've worked with that entire population of people with disabilities and people with dementia. Now, here's the fun thing about people with dementia is they forget gender roles. Oops, I forgot. And so so they're hilarious because they see me as masculine. They he me. They call me a him. They sometimes, occasionally, around the country as I would travel in my camper van. I traveled the country visiting nursing homes before COVID, okay? And I would dance with them, okay? And they would occasionally, about 1 in every 100, would be like, are you a boy or a girl? And I'd say, does it matter? And they'd think for a minute. They'd be like, nah, not really. I guess it doesn't.
Aww.
And, they're like 90. So I'm just going to say that, people with dementia sometimes are very authentically themselves. They're so authentic that they can become offensive to people because they forgot what is socially acceptable and what's not. Like, yo, I'm just going to punch you in the face. But they have forgotten the social norms. And in some ways, that's a gift. And if you can receive it as a gift, you can actually see the light in it. And you start, and I think that's some of what I write about in the book is that, like, not only if we start removing these norms and these things like that, but if we also start removing our trauma, which are often based on those norms, then what happens is we step through in this authentic confidence where we're so confident and so strong. The guy that wrote my foreword, his name is Orion Foxwood. And he always says to me that I'm a change maker. He's a very magical man. He's been around for a long time. He's a queer man. And he says, you're my change maker. Because everywhere you go, you change. You change anything you touch. And it's true. I do. People that get close to me, change. People that talk to me, change. I push people's boundaries. And not intentionally. I just do. Because I'm so authentic. So if you can present yourself more authentic, I find that the more authentic you present yourself, well, then the better your life gets.
Yeah.
It's almost as if the universe rewards you for doing what you're supposed to do. So when you start doing those things, the universe is like, oh, here you go. Oh, here you go. Here's what you need. And things just start to fall into place. And I'm not just talking about money. Yeah, money will just come out of weird places sometimes. But it could also be partners, friendships, connections, and other ways of expressing yourself. And whatever it is you're here to do. Now, you may not be a non-binary educator. Okay, not everybody is a non-binary educator like me. Some people could just be here to be a non-binary person. That's just an example of a non-binary person. And let's say they're a teacher. Maybe they have a special gift to offer young children. Maybe they need to be this permission for the little girl to play in the dirt, or the young little boy to wear a dress to school. Okay. So that's what I mean. Like, every single person on the planet, whether you're non-binary or not, is here to do something. You're here to heal or bring healing. I don't know. Sometimes some people, I wonder why they're here. Okay, like some people that do really terrible things in the world. I'm like, why are they here? Why is that guy here, man? Like, he's doing terrible things to people. Those people are meant to be here too. They're meant to be the catalyst for change. Hard to take, hard to swallow. They're not wrong. They're doing exactly what they were put here to do.
I was just thinking, like, we need one really big asshole to help us really notice how many little big assholes there are out there, and that we really need a shift in this whole asshole pandemic.
Right.
We need a really big, loud one.
Well, we've had a couple of those.
Trump.
They're called politicians. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're called politicians.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why he's here. And in fact, if you look at his astrology chart, you learn that pretty quickly. And I think that's what astrology teaches. Astrology teaches that every single one of us is special and unique in a special way. And that you're here to do something. Where's your North Node? And that's kind of like what astrology is all about. And in the book, I talk about exploring different paths to help unwind these roles, because astrology will help you unwind roles, because you will start realizing, when you're uncomfortable when all the other girls are putting on dresses and you're like, yeah, I don't really want to put on a dress. I'm good. I don't need any makeup. I'm good. Right? When you're that person, that you were actually made that way. And so when astrology starts to point those things out to you, it's a little easier to present them in the world, because you're like, I was made this way. This is who I am. Please don't make me weird with it. Right?
Yeah.
Right? And that expression, there's a lot of tools out there that you can use. Astrology is one of them. You can use tarot. You can use magic, like Wicca and the gods and goddesses, and other divine entities that are not gendered, and some of them that switch gender, like Aphrodite. You can learn about yourself and your reflection of in the deities. And there are just, I don't know, Tantra, alchemy. I mean, there's so many paths out there, spiritual, sacred paths that regard androgyny or gender bending or gender variance as exactly what Candace said at the beginning, which is that it's almost like a sacred form. And that's exactly what I'm pointing at, is I'm saying, well, Tantra and alchemy both say that divine, and yoga all say that the divine androgen, the androgynous in all of us, is actually sacred. That all of us have both within us.
Yeah.
So if you can get in touch with the other sides of you that are masculine or feminine, well, guess who's here to help you? Transgender people.
Yeah.
They're magic makers. They're change makers. They're meant to say, it's okay if you don't want to wear a dress today, sweetie. It's okay. You don't have to wear makeup. Mm-mm. Or it's okay if you do want to wear makeup. Like Candace is like, I don't care if you're wearing a dress. Makes no difference to me, right? So that kind of permission is allowing people to accept their changes and accept who they are. And the more we get in touch with that androgynous self, whether we're cisgender or non-binary or whatever our identity is, the more we get in touch with both sides of ourselves, the more androgynous we all realize we really are.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get away from the roles.
We can all be more free to be.
Yay.
And then we can walk forward in our life as authentic beings.
Yeah.
And can you imagine a world that doesn't have gender? I actually want to write. That's my next. That's a book I want to write. I want to write fiction stories in a world with no gender.
And then you're gonna write the adult children's version illustrated of your life.
Yeah. Well, yes, that too. I have a lot of writing to do.
Per my request.
Okay.
Is it about halftime?
It is a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. Is Kelly still with us? Is there anybody else out there?
Kelly, I think, is here. Kelly's
or
Harold
Oh, what?
and Harold and Subash said hello as well. And yeah.
Yay! Hi, everyone.
Yay.
Hi,
So,
everybody.
I don't know, Hollis, if you wanted to do a general reading and pull on the energy of all the viewers and us here, I'd also would love to hear what's going on astrologically. I gotta, while you're doing that real quick, I'm gonna go quick potty.
Okay. It's okay. It's okay.
You shuffle if you want to prepare and tell us about this amazing deck that you're working with too.
Yeah. Recently, this year actually, I stepped back into being a professional psychic, astrologer, medium. And I was searching for a new deck. I needed a new deck. I've had a couple of decks throughout my life, and I kind of get attached to one deck at a time, and I don't usually buy them unless I'm really sure I want to use them. So I came upon this deck called Love is Love.
Oh, I love it.
And
Awesome.
it's actually a pride deck. And then the more I read about it, the more I was like, oh, I have to have that deck. Because every single card is done by a different LGBTQIA person, artist. Each card is painted and designed by a different person, and it's a completely collaborative experience. It was a collaborative deck, which I'm sure took a lot of work of organizing, because collaboration usually takes a little extra work. And all of those things speak to me. Not only am I LGBTQIA, not only am I non-binary, so there's lots of non-binary creatures and characters in here, but also collaboration totally speaks to me. I think collaboration is the way to a higher way of being. In fact, I think when we collaborate with one another, especially if we can do it in a healthy way, that we actually are doing better for ourselves and the world. Doing things completely alone, I've learned in my experience, is never as fulfilling as something collaborative. So that's the energy of the cards, and the energy of today, of if you're queer or you're LGBTQIA, that includes intersex and asexual people. That means asexual are people that don't prefer to have sex in order to be intimate. And that's okay. I want to say that you're completely natural and okay, and it's okay that you're here. If you're intersex, I want to say that you're valid. You belong here, and I'm glad you're here. If you know any people in the LGBTQIA plus spectrum, I want to say that if you can repeat what I just said, you are valid, and I'm glad you're here. To them, that would help. Okay? That's how you can be a good ally. How can you be a good ally? That's one way. And right now, I'm drawing on these cards. I'm going to do a little past, present, future for the whole room. And for anyone that's here right now, if you're listening to this recording, if you are part of this reading right now, anyone, if you hear this, it's meant for you. Take what you like, leave the rest. Something that doesn't vibrate with you, just leave it. It's probably meant for somebody else. All right. So I'm going to pull 3 cards. Interesting. Oh, great. So the first card is actually a very emotional card. Okay. This card is all about emotionality. And you can see it is a woman with white hair. I'm going to describe it because I know Candace cannot see. It is a woman with white hair. And it kind of looks like it also kind of turns into a bit of a veil once it gets down to her shoulders. And it looks like her head is actually cut off, but still hovering over her body. And her insides of her heart are sort of being exposed in a very emotional way. It sort of looks like her chest has been ripped open, and you can see the parts of the heart. And there's 3 little devils in there. The demons inside is what this represents. And behind her, now she also has tears running down her face, and you can tell because her makeup is running. And you can also see that she has a moon behind her, and you can also see the constellations in the background, and you can see sets of swords pointing at her. And they're all sort of surrounding her in sets of two, except for two at the bottom, which are not in a set of two. They're just by themselves. And so altogether, it makes up 10 swords, because this is the 10 of swords. And so the 10 of swords, hopefully I drew a picture for you there, Candace. And the 10 of swords is all about emotional exposure and vulnerability. That's what this is about. And this is about your emotions, your insides coming to the light. The moon has a tendency to do that. Your moon cycle does that. The moon does that, even if you don't cycle every month. If you don't have a womb for whatever reason, you do have a cycle every month. I assure you, you do, because the moon moves through different signs all year long. And it puts us through emotional cycles. It just so happens if you do have a womb, it's marked with blood. That's all. Okay? But you are still going through emotional cycles, I assure you. And that's what this is about. It is meant to remind us of the emotional cycles that we go through, including trauma. Remember that we repeat trauma. It is repeated until you clear it. You got to feel it to heal it. And once you heal it, the cycle will slow down and become more apparent to you. And you'll be able to change the way the cycle shows up in your life. So that's what that card is all about. This card is the High Priestess, which I already started bringing her message in. And her message is clear. It's about transformation. Now, this is a beautifully done card. It's kind of black and white, Candace, but it's drawn and it's very detail oriented. It's almost like it was done with dots almost. But there are a few pieces that are colored, and there's this woman in the center, a very feminine appearing person, with a little bit of makeup on her face, but her hair is kind of crazy above her head. It's kind of like sitting atop her head, and there's vines coming out of it. And it's kind of, she looks very attached to natural. And the more you look at it, the more you realize, oh, she's almost like a moth woman, because from behind her come these colored wings that look like moth or a butterfly. And there's a couple of other bugs down there at her feet that are coming up towards her. And there's a candle. And right in the center, she's holding a piece of fruit. And that's because she is transforming. This is the High Priestess. This is the High Priestess card. This is about how we transform ourselves. This is about transforming who you are. This is telling you that whatever trauma you've been through, whatever that shit is, by the way, it doesn't have to own you. Whatever that stuff is going on for you, it can be changed. It can be shifted. It can be transformed. That's what alchemy is. And alchemy exists within Tantra and yoga. This is about the transformation itself. And that's what this is a reminder of. And the final card gives me chills.
Ooh.
Because it is exactly what we were talking about, the androgynous person. And this is a beautiful person of color that has a dark beard and has a beautiful, I would call it an African American haircut, yet they are wearing a half tank top that is blue, sky blue with little flowers on it. I don't think they're wearing bottoms, and they have themselves wrapped up so you can't see their genitalia, so you don't know. And they're wrapped up in a piece of fabric that covers their genitalia that kind of resembles something a monk would use in that way, but it's purple instead of red. And behind them, they have a flag. And if you look closely at that flag, you realize that it's the androgynous flag. It's this. It's that symbol, which is actually the symbol of Venus, Mercury, and Mars all tied together. Okay, all in one symbol. So it's like a cross pointing, a circle with a cross pointing downwards, Candace, an arrow going in one direction, and an arrow and a cross combined on the other branch in the other direction. Now, what else is on this card? Well, there's a diamond. Now, what are diamonds? Diamonds are carved into their beauty, aren't they? They're kind of hard to carve and they're hard, but they're beautiful anyway. And they're often a result of great transformation, of really tough times, right? They kind of represent a tough path. And the flames down in the corner as well, and the watery fish up in the corner. These are all little drawings around this character, along with the sun in the other corner. And you can't help but think of like earth, air, fire, water type of thing here. And as you look at this, you realize that there's also roses behind this character growing around them. It's actually a rose vine. And the roses symbolize that sometimes they're beautiful and sometimes they have thorns. But this is the world card. This is the beauty of androgyny, is exactly what you're looking at here. And it's the world card, meaning that you can have the whole world in your hands when you are your most authentic self. And non-binary characters represent authenticity for you. They show you how to get there. They are your inspiring, brave person in your life. They are the one that says, it's okay, you don't have to wear makeup today. It's okay, you can totally chop wood. It's okay, I'll teach you how to chop wood. It's okay, you can wear a dress today. That's what this person represents in your life or who you are. And just remember that your emotional wounds, these emotional wounds, the ones that rip our heart out and expose us, and we feel like we could just fall apart in any moment, that's the 10 of Swords, which we had in the past, and the now of transformation. We are in a time of change right now, and I'll talk more about that when I talk about the astrology. And as we go forward, we have this beautiful divine being of androgyny that reminds us to be our authentic selves. That's why gender variant people are here in the world, to remind you as allies to be yourself. We want you to be yourself. That you being yourself is actually better than being some role that was defined for you. That's what this is all about. That's what's happening right now in the stars. In fact, as above, so below. So that means what's happening in the stars is happening here on Earth. Is that stars causing what's happening here on Earth? Not really. It's actually a map. It's like connecting the dots. It's like saying, oh, Jupiter just went retrograde. Jupiter just went retrograde just the other day, and it started coming back into Aquarius. It was there in 2020, let me tell you. We all knew it, right?
Yeah.
BLM started happening, and we were like, oh my goodness. And some of us were like, thank God, it's finally happening. We've been waiting for how long? Oh, finally. And that's Jupiter in Aquarius, because Jupiter is about expansion. Jupiter is about realizing who we are and becoming bigger because of it. Have you ever done a yoga pose and when you're done, you feel more expanded? That's Jupiter, right? That's Jupiter. After you do meditation, your heart feels more open. You're ready to love the world in that moment. That's the feeling of Jupiter. When it goes retrograde, it says we have to revisit this. I'm going to come back. Let me highlight this for you guys. By the way, all people matter. including Black lives. And right now they need our help. Okay. So could we step up and help these people? And hey, gender variant people exist. People exist outside the binary. Believe it. It's real. Okay. And that's what happens when Jupiter moves back into Aquarius. It starts to highlight these things, not just on the big level out here in the world, but it also does it in your life. In your personal life, depending on how Jupiter is placed in your natal chart, will depend on how it shows up for you. But as it goes backwards, it will highlight what you need to revisit that keeps you from expanding. So that's what Jupiter is. And the reason you're probably feeling today, you're probably feeling a little, well, there's a couple of ways you could come through it, depending on some of your own placements. You could come through it feeling a little like, I'm going to go back in my shell. I'll be out tomorrow. Okay. All right. So that's because Eris is out there. Eris is the goddess of healing, the goddess of discord, and she's in retrograde. So she's trying to bring healing to things. So she's actually triggering that. And then there's Venus. She just moved out of Leo, which is very fiery and on fire and all about me, of course. And it's moving into Virgo, which is the sacred healer, the sacred feminine. Okay. And she's moving into a place she belongs, but she's also doing what we call a hammer of Thor. So that means some things are coming down for people, and it will be the theme this month and next month. As things are unwinding for you, you could notice some discomforts internally in relationships, especially because Venus is involved. It will depend on where your house placements are. And you may also notice a little bit of the feeling in the last 2 days of, don't make me come down there. Don't make me come up there. Okay. That feeling a little bit. I had that experience with my Airbnb guests. Don't make me come down there. Okay. I had to tell them to be quiet. So I'm just saying that you may have to draw boundaries. Don't be afraid to draw boundaries. Saturn right now is in retrograde in Aquarius and will be until 2023.
Wow.
So if your Saturn is in Aquarius, you are doing your Saturn returns. Good luck. You can contact me privately and I'll try to help you through it. It's a long, way longer than the 2 minutes we have left of this show. Yeah, it's just super long.
Yeah, are we that close?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I really appreciate that. That was like really, really beautiful. Like the cars and the astrology. Yeah, so Hollis has a lot of different things going on, a lot of different things to offer. You can see a lot of their links here before we close. Definitely want you to, share what's going on. And yeah, I just kind of want to reel us in and like, God, I feel like we could go on forever with this. Yeah. If I didn't have something I had to tend to, I'd check in and see if you guys had more time. But so I am so grateful that you said yes to come and share with us. And I hope we get to have you again sometime. I've really been enjoying knowing you and being on Rainbow Soul and the Fire Circle. And yeah, this conversation, I'm just feeling very, very nourished in a lot of ways. It's like medicine, it's a very medicinal conversation. Yeah. So if you want to know more about what I have going on in my world at this time, check out my Facebook page. There's a lot of different things there going on. And tomorrow is Global Orgasm Day start today?
They're doing it like from the beginning of like where the whole world starts. The Lint is like the first country from the beginning of the day or something till the last.
Okay.
So
Yeah, there is a global orgasm happening starting tomorrow. If you want information on that, you could find that on my Facebook profile as well.
Tap into that healing energy. Tap into that, right?
Yeah.
So I think on the website it says, join us for the whole world coming together. Like,
Beautiful.
but there'll be different talks and things. Careza and myself will be hosting, moderating a talk at 5 with Androgyne, one of the founders of the Clubhouse group that's hosting this event.
Awakening.
You say that part.
Well, I actually have a post that's out there on Instagram right now. But so I'll be doing along with Candace and Andre. We'll be talking about from release to living orgasmically and how orgasm can change the world. Tomorrow with a little bit of light touch and a little bit of movement and dance. So if you're free and want to have fun, then come and join us because it's going to be fun. All genders, all walks of life are welcome. So
and there's no video,
shame.
So you can dance like nobody's watching because nobody's watching. You can orgasm like nobody's watching too.
Oh yeah, there's separate rooms where you can orgasm. Yes. And then tick a little box where you are from, and you can see how many people are orgasming around the world. So it's really fun.
Well, that's fantastic. And tonight we are doing an alchemical fire circle. So when you're done having your orgasm, and if you want to be part of that, there's an alchemical fire circle tonight at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. So that's 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And that's with Unite. All people are welcome, assuming that you also are inclusive and loving. And that's tonight. And of course, Rainbow Soul is on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Beautiful. Yay.
Cool. Yeah.
And you can get private readings from me at divineandrogyny.com.
Okay. So it's the best place for people to find you and get links to all your stuff going on.
Everything is there. Mm-hmm. Okay. And, everything is there. Mm-hmm. And I'd be happy to be back on the show. Okay. Well, I'm happy to be back on the show. I have lots of different topics we can focus on, like astrology or tarot or mediumship in the fall. There you go.
Cool. So, and to all of our viewers, whether you're watching this live or later, if there's something you'd really like to hear Hollis talk more about, go check out their book or something you heard today. Let us know. You could chime in here. If it feels really private, reach out. Send one of us a message. And like Hollis said, they do readings. And I'll be at the fire circle tonight. At least I plan to.
All right. We're going to have a good time tonight. Everybody's welcome.
Hey, thank you, Hollis. Thank you,
Carissa.
Right.
Thanks for having me. It's fun.
Yes. So we will be back again. I hope everyone has a beautiful, blessed Friday. Meow, meow.
Right.